And here is the video.
I realized that the actual word shaman was meant to describe a certain group of people mostly in northern Asia. However, the actual practice of a shamanistic culture is present in the history of most all peoples, cultures, and geographies. I wonder if the ubiquity of shamanism is ever considered in these modern times. The practice of having individuals who are in tune with a spiritual reality that underlies and supersedes the material plane is found in every ancient society. What's more, all of them have a common animistic worldview across vast regions and times with people who were unlikely able to communicate with one another. This suggests to me that shamanism is in our spiritual DNA. In all of these various cultures, there is a pattern that emerges that is so similar that it is hard to discount the fact that it originated outside of the culture and outside of human interaction in what could best be described as an ethereal region unseen by the human eye. I think that it is highly likely that it resides in the fields that we now know exist. One such field to consider is Rupert Sheldrake's fields of morphic resonance. It is widely understood and accepted as a fact that there are a variety of fields that are unseen by us humans. There are radio waves, microwaves that are all part of an electromagnetic field all around us. These make up what is known as classical field theory. However, quantum field theory is also now widely accepted in physics. It tries to unite classical fields with particle physics and has had considerable success. I mention this here only to provide a plausible explanation for the existence of fields that influence mental constructs and beliefs. It could be one explanation for the ubiquity of shamanism across cultures and societies. When I say widespread, it is actually an understatement. Most people are familiar to a degree with the shamanism of the indigenous people of North and South America, Australia, Asia, and Africa, but less familiar with shamanism in Europe, and yet it is widespread there as well. Christianity has had a great influence on suppressing the actual history of Europe. It developed a Judeo-Christian worldview that falsely shows history exclusively in a Judeo-centric paradigm which eliminates shamanism. That view posits there is one true God with one true history, and it is really not true at all. While there is indeed one ultimate creative source, the Christian narrative is woefully wanting. The fact is that there are multiple expressions of shamanism that were vibrant and influential all across Europe. There was Celtic shamanism, Baltic shamanism, Finnish shamanism, Hungarian shamanism, Romanian shamanism, and Samoyedic shamanism. The point is that the false history that was forced upon people by the Christian state made it seem as though shamanism was relegated to a spiritually inferior and superstitious status, when in reality it was far more spiritually advanced than what the church offered, and it was based on a totally false history. So you may be wondering, what did shamanism offer the culture? The answer is simple. Shamanistic cultures revered nature and treated the planet with a respect that is not found in the Abrahamic religions. They sought to commune with the divine. They venerated their ancestors, and they performed spiritual healing. They had cultural traditions and festivals that brought a rich sense of belonging to the community. I find it ironic that when the Eastern Europeans came to America, many ignorant of their rich spiritual heritage had the nerve to call the Native Americans savages. The reality was that the European settlers were much more savage than the indigenous people they met. The natives had a much richer spirituality and a greater reverence and regard for the natural environment. The question becomes, what was lost from these European individuals losing their shamanic roots? The answer is really quite simple. They lost a big part of their individual soul. There is a way that it can be regained. People can look into the shamanic traditions of the area they came from and begin to incorporate them into their daily lives. In fact, they can travel on a spiritual path that will bring them closer to reality. The reality is that we are not only material but spiritual as well. Shamanistic practices can aid the individual in discovering their purpose. They can begin to see all of nature as sacred and allow that to be the impetus to preserve what is left of nature. Beyond that, they can become more connected to all that this material plane offers. They can choose to become shamanic in their practices, and they can be motivated to look after the greater good of all. They can do this without being superstitious. I am beginning to believe that the term superstitious is merely a pejorative description of one who is deeply spiritual. My advice would be to examine your lineage and explore the shamanic traditions of your heritage. For example, my mother's family came from England and my father's family came from one of the Slavic nations, and his mother was at least half Chippewa. It would make sense for me to look into Celtic practices along with shamanism from the Slavic regions and the Chippewa traditions. I then can be eclectic in the practices that resonate with me. If this resonates with you, please like, subscribe, share, and comment. Thanks for taking the time to watch this cosmic consciousness video.